You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby, and twist myself at the spine. Don't wanna overthink it, baby. It's just twist your body and mine. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead of my time. Oh, but I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and speak my mind. Oh. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're gentle and wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're gentle and wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, 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 oh,
Representative Mandisha A. Comments from 65th District of the House of Representatives. And I am so glad that everyone is here tonight. I serve in Fulton and County because we just had redistricting and they have just taken me out of Douglas County. So I did serve Three County and I'm really glad thank you all for being here for the conversation in cannabis, hemp, and marijuana. A little bit about me. I sit on the state agricultural committee. It's agricultural consumer affairs. I sit on the state labor industry committee, which also has a consumer affairs component. And I fought really hard last session to get on energy, utilities, and telecommunications. And I pretty much fought to get on that committee because I know that Georgia can be number one in alternative energy as well as number one in cannabis. And that's why we're here today. Now, there's a state that's leading cannabis, which is not Georgia. We won't say that, but we know that we can rise up the ranks to be leader. I want to share with you this hour our same panel. Before I do that, I do want to thank Mr. Keith Fulton. If you're here, raise your hand, Mr. Keith Fulton. If not here, but for this event and getting our same panel here today. I'd like to also Any other elected officials? No other elected officials in the room, okay. So I'm going to get started. And we'll start legislative wise. It was a tumultuous session last session. A bit of a scuffle, House Bill 196 and House Bill 458. Some of you may not be familiar with that, but we'll talk about it quickly. Those are two bills that actually merged together. 196 gave access to medical cannabis commission and be subjected to the Administrative Procedure Act governing the Open Meetings and Open Records Act. House Bill 458 was related to hemp farming, related to the offenses against public health and morals. It also prohibited the person to sell and offering samples of hemp products by or to any individual under the age of 21 years and to provide inspection, enforcement, and penalties for violations. The bill sought to address the grants and lawsuits by non-companies that lost bids for licensing that were holding up the licensing process, asking the Commissioner of Agriculture to mediate their complaints. The bill also called for the abolishment of the commission's lawmakers created in 2019 to oversee the medical cannabis program and turning over its duties to the Georgia Department of Agriculture. And these two bills were merged together. There's a huge scuffle on the floor regarding the politics of this situation. And we're going to start with David. We're going to introduce our panel and give a little bio, just a little quick. So we're going to start with David. If you could elaborate on those two bills that merged and explain any of the politics that you saw as a Georgia citizen from that perspective.
Well, thank you very much, and I'll just address these topics as opposed to telling you everything about what I'm trying to do here or in the future for sensible cannabis legislation. But these two bills are important to understand what was going on, because the first one, House Bill 196, really said, should the medical cannabis board within the normal operating laws of every agency in the government? Right? That doesn't seem like our bill for us to get behind. We should have the medical cannabis board be completely open about their business policies and practices, so that we as citizens who elected great folks like Representative Thomas to actually speak our words and what we want to have happen. So in closure, those people, they created a tight-knit community to keep the public from understanding how their motivations came about or why their motivations came about. So to finish on 196, if you don't know, I ran for agriculture commissioner unsuccessfully in the last election under a plank. Cannabis is agriculture, because in my heart I believe that completely. So all of these issues are really solved when we understand and accept that. So 196 is about the normal business practices, and so yes, we do want that to be clearly adopted and understood. Now that it's merged, I look forward to seeing the other language. Now, for the other one, the 458, talk more about penalization for misbehavior, right, than setting up rules. So without going into everything other than this brief moment here, it is really important that we get our legislators a clean bill that they can promote to get sensible cannabis legislation to us, the people, right? Because that's what we want. We don't want to determine, and we're going to kind of get off track and kind of say, well, and it's doctors, excuse me, but the medical side, this is just one part of it. And all the other parts of this are being kind of overlooked because of different special interest groups and how we go about it. So what I'm going after now is to understand and bringing everyone together in a simple idea of one question that I think everybody will agree with. Should cannabis be treated similarly to alcohol and tobacco? Right? So think of that just for a second. Those are the two syntaxes that we've already agreed to, that we've already accepted. Why wouldn't cannabis be just fall under those same restrictions, minor or reasonable taxation, reasonable legislation, and like in 458, I don't think kids should have access to cannabis unless it came from a prescription that their parents are administering, right? Just like booze. My kid can't go down and buy me a fifth of liquor until they're old. We already are accepted these things, but for some reason, because of the stigma of cannabis, we've kind of let ourselves be manipulated in a certain way. So again, I want to take up everyone's time, and thank you very much for having me. This is not the first event that you've invited me to, so thank you very much. I'll be here for the rest of the day. But those two issues, that bill should be merged, the legislation really should be done, and if it was up to me, I'd completely dissolve the medical cannabis board and just legalize cannabis, which is what we all.
State your name for the audience, please. State your name for the audience.
David Raudabaugh.
And let me just tell you a little bit about David. He's a 40-year Georgia resident. He's an activist for cannabis. He's an owner of the Chiquero.
Actually, I say Chirico.
Chiquero.
It's happy with these products. And they're all samples here to talk about different products, about cannabis-related products. There's hundreds of them. It's not just the flower. So that's what Chirico is about, the education and availability and access to products.
Right. You can find more information at Chirico.org.
Yes.
Okay. And he's also a resource for cannabis products, education, and training. David's most recent effort is called the Legal Cannabis Association. This is a nonprofit effort to bringing concerned voters and cannabis industry professionals together with the single goal of creating physical cannabis legislation. Many of you know David from his unsuccessful run for agricultural commissioner. I didn't put that word on the
I
didn't even use that. Where he has made his campaign plan of cannabis as agriculture, but he just said, and also something that he said, a clean version of legislation. These pieces of legislation have so many revisions, and it might not have been ready to come to the floor of that session, but sometimes we try to rush things and push things out, and that's how we don't get things passed, because we want to make sure that it makes sense for both parties to get something passed. I did vote for both of the bills when they did come to the floor. 458, House Bill 458 came out of the Agricultural Committee, and House Bill 196 came out of Regulated Industries. So we know that either one of those committees are going to be pushing out a piece of legislation. We want you to all be active and contact your state representatives and senators, but start with the committee. So start with the Agricultural Committee members and start with the Regulated Industry Committee members and let them know your thoughts on the bill when they come out. If you signed in with me, I'll be keeping you updated throughout the session as far as next Monday. And as drafts or revisions come through, we receive emails from me and any other information that I have on those bills and my colleagues about. So you'll be able to watch the temperature throughout the whole session. As I think both of these bills came on the last session, which was signed and died, and we really don't want it to get to that, but we want to get something passed before the last. So next we're going to Dr. Hodge. Just say something about
Hodge, medicine physician, huge cannabis advocate. When Nathan Governor Deal signed her bill, he was one of the first positions in his state to start doing cannabis recommendations. Believer benefits outweigh the negative consequences. Cannabis is a great medicine for babies, elderly, hospice, cancer. We started out with 8 diseases. Now we have a robust qualifying condition list of over 21 conditions. Cannabis right now is in oil form. I hope to see delivery methods expanded to vape, flower, gummies, soon as we're going down, and the program about to start. Beverages, suppositories, so no one's, any condition you have, cannabis can help you. Also, a mechanics card holder, 12, to a cervical fusions, C5, C7, pain. My mood wasn't the best. People know that. Opioids, mood stabilizers. Couldn't sleep. I was in a neck brace, so you can imagine how uncomfortable. They prescribed benzos, and I was able to get all of that using cannabis. I'm not just using my own personal testimony. I've got over 20 years of practice of failed pharmaceutical medicine. Over and over. I've learned a lot from, I'm about to be 49 next month. So practicing medicine over that time, over 20 years, you see a lot of shortcomings and where cannabis accountability has. Kind of right. Well, we used to prescribe cannabis 1920s, 1930s, and 40s. And they came up with this hypodermic needle and big money with the hypodermic needle. But anyway, cannabis, that's me. I can go on and on. We don't got to quick out. I have a store out in the CBD. I'm good.
Thank you, Dr. Hodge. Is it to my memory that you have done a lot?
Yeah, I do a lot of hospice work. It's my joy. It's one of my passions. So it's marriage, cannabis with end of life care. It's important to me. It's E-kit, where I prescribe like medicine, phenobarbital, Ativan, morphine under the tongue, Tylenol suppository, and I've seen it over and over again that cannabis can take even that E-kit. You don't have to be conscious, so you have big veins under your tongue, so even if you're comatose or can't control your airway, you can rub that under your gums, and that your loved one's going to get the medicine and get the relief. So, yeah, I've done a lot of hospital, a lot of clinical research, worked with insulin, worked on anthrax vaccine, I worked on inhaled insulin, I've done a lot of primary care. So, again, cannabis is, you heard what the DEA's know, hopefully 2024 is the year where we will schedule cannabis. And it's one drug that it will be indeed medicine. And, that will open up access to new formulations. Won't be all at the time. This will be medicine for a pill or powder form. Big Pharma is going to want to get in. Obviously, they're going to be into. They're in right now. There's a cannabis CBD drug Epidiolex. That was an $8 billion move. So there's going to be a lot of things, buying up companies because cannabinoids, is the future. Not just a curative, but repair. You can't sleep. Sleeping too much here. Indigestion here. Not just the cancer, chronic pain, but all these little ailments where we go to over the counter store, you'll be reaching for some part of that plan.
Here's one to lose weight and increase your sex drive.
And it's open up more research. Once we schedule, to me is, I got a big clinical research background. So now we have, like you said, sex drive, sleep. Physicians, the science, we can't, that's not true. It's all popular opinion. Two can do trials, cohort studies, random double-blind studies. That's when we can say, hey, cannabis indeed can do this. So, as for now, I know we all have to do what cannabis can do. You know, it's good for pain. It's great for nausea, vomiting, it's associated with chemotherapy. It can reduce seizures. Doesn't stop them. It can reduce, because we only use CBD, but imagine if we use the whole plant, THC and CBD. But because of the Schedule I drug, we can't get babies high. So you got all these CBD drugs. When it's a Schedule III, imagine what's going to happen. We can really start doing some trials. There's going to be a bunch of trials. Right now, only the
We're gonna pay $1 billion to the $180 billion that agriculture industry invests for us. This is $180 billion industry in agriculture. We've got to be good at online. We got to get that, and I want to believe that we got to go after that. We're going to go after money. We're going to talk about some other things later, but I brought up commonality between us and develop home health care agencies for a living. I like hospice, personal care homes, and assisted living. So I've been around hospice, and we know that hospice is the number one thing that we're trying to reduce is what.
Hey, it's up for increase quality of life. And one quick point about that. Hospice is like the next frontier for cannabis because every chaplain has to come what? To the home or to the hospital door. The chaplain's coming. That chaplain has to be familiar with cannabis because more than likely there's going to be some cannabis with that patient. So they have to be educated. Yeah, and that's like, that could be a big risk. I want to pop on, trying to help pop. And there's a lot of chaplains come in and say, hey, this is bad, this is equal to the program, nothing bad, they're not going to go there. All good.
Some chaplains may be on the so that's what this is all about, having a conversation. Make people aware of what's going on.
I purpose here in the curriculum for chaplain graduation, it's hours.
Well, the whole hospital team, every clinician should be educated. And so, Dr. Hodge just went over his bio on the steps. Thank you. We will introduce Michael Lawson Jr. Mike, but Mr. Lawson is a mental health professional. He's an entrepreneur and cannabis advocate whose vision is to educate, empower, and change the global cannabis narrative. Michael has experience as a cultivator, legacy caregiver, and mental health clinician. He's also a native of Los Angeles, California, and I'm a native of Fulton, California, who witnessed the evolution of the cannabis industry with the passage of California Proposition 215, which permitted the use of medical cannabis. Michael holds a bachelor's degree from Morehouse College and a master's science in clinical mental health counseling from Mercer University. While studying clinical mental health, Michael discovered endocannabinoid system and developed a deeper understanding of the therapeutic values of the cannabis plant. Michael soon realized the majority of medical professionals, consumers, and cannabis manufacturers were not familiar with contemporary science behind medical cannabis. Michael Lawson Jr.
We are just honored to share our knowledge and experience with you and hope that it can improve your life and your family's lives. Thank you so much for the introduction. I would say my journey right to this point, pivotal moment for me was when I was in grad school, studying clinical mental health and the endocannabinoid system, which is one of the systems of the human body that regulates really our whole health. Pain, memory, sleep, energy, all of these mood, all of these things really impact all of our day, all of our life. But more importantly, I started to understand that the cannabis plant was tremendously misunderstood in the academic world and in the professional world. So I found myself working in the criminal justice system as a therapist, having to explain to judges why my clients are on probation facing good time, but they continue to smoke cannabis and not tripping on failed drug tests. So I had to educate a lot of judges who would tolerate me in my message. Not everybody was friendly to the message. But I found myself in places and spaces that didn't understand cannabis and were not friendly. So I left the criminal justice system, I left the school system and started Cannabis Media Collective. I educate cannabis naive patients. I educate cannabis patients that have been using cannabis for 20 plus years. So, like Dr. Hodge said, that there's so much to learn about cannabis across the lifespan. Children can use it, our grandparents can use it, and everybody in between. And so, even people who have been around the plant, using the plant, the science is evolving so fast. Research is starting to happen. We're finding out so much more about how we can benefit from this plant. So my focus mainly is mental health. How do we use this plant to support our mind, body, and spirit? My philosophy is that we use this plant to impact various levels physiologically, whether that's chronic pain or mental health, whether that's anxiety or sleep. I'm a huge proponent of my life. We just sleep, right? Our sleep is the cornerstone. Sleep is not well, more likely.
Everyone on the program first.
Oh, yeah, so I also have an education program and we educate the students on really how to make the connection between the discipline that they're studying and how to make it into tremendous opportunities outside of cultivation and business ownership, right? So for our students out there, whether they're marketing, arts, finance, design, architecture, etc., there's a place, a space for them in the industry. And also, Cannabis Literacy Club is shifting more to the community as well, focusing on not so much the college population, but just young adults in general, in terms of workforce development. Right, it's $1 trillion industry that's growing right in front of us. There's a tremendous windfall that's going to be coming to Georgia. We're talking about cultivation. Well, in cultivation, you need lights, electricians, HVAC, plumbers, brickmakers, designers, architects, transport people. It's a whole infrastructure that supports the industry, and we need to get involved with that. So I do a lot of advocacy work behind the scenes in the city, the mayor, on that front as well. It's super important to make sure that we have an infrastructure set up so our young people can come into this new trade dollar industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. I mean, you're absolutely right. And what he just described was a whole workforce. He created a whole workforce in Canada. And what I've been doing for the last 2 years across my district is people talk about the dispensaries. I want a dispensary in our city. I want to take out we want a dispensary, that's great. But it's the more technological part that I'm trying to get to. So if the sheriff pulls you over, he doesn't have the ability to test you in the field. We need to create those testing devices. We need to be creating those testing devices. We need to be making money off of the equipment. That's what I'm looking at for we need to have our scientists, we need to have our labs right now. But is it just one lab? Is it just right? You know, we need one that's about COVID. You know, so we need to be looking further than just the dispensary or holding on cannabis. We need to look at this as a workforce and the amount of money that we can make in generational. We can create generational wealth through cannabis. And next we have Miss Felicia Dawson.
I am a obstetrician gynecologist, so I have expertise in this integrative medicine. I love teaching people how much power they have over their health. And in 2013, that's when I, along with a lot of Americans, learned about cannabis as medicine from Dr. Sanjay Gupta, his lead documentary. That was completely not what I was talking about in school. And so I was intrigued to learn more about cannabis. I did, and as I was doing that, I was becoming gradually disenchanted with the business of medicine. And I closed my practice after serving the women of Georgia for about 30 years. In 2016, to focus all of my energy on advocating and educating about cannabis as medicine. I am also very much wanting to point out the problems that we have with the research on cannabis in pregnancy, because as you know, it's discouraged to use cannabis in pregnancy, although women have been using cannabis for thousands of years, before, during, and after pregnancy. My goal in the next couple of years is to point out to my fellow healthcare practitioners why the research that we have on cannabis in pregnancy is not meaningful. It has a lot of errors. It doesn't take into effect a lot of confounders, economics, aesthetics used to test with, multiple drugs that people are using, and you know, there's lots of things that come from pregnancy, like environmental toxins, like depression, like lead in water. Like, you know, we think about Michigan, but there are like over 3,000 Michigans in America. And some of these have 4 times the amount of lead that Flint has. So there's a lot of things that can cause in a pregnancy that's being put on cannabis. And my job is to help pull all that baggage off of cannabis, because it's a safe medicine plant that women can use, everyone can use. It can replace a lot of medications, and it's really good for seniors. And so that's my goal, to work on that, as well as trying to get down the maternal mortality rate, which is continuing to rise. And Georgia's like next place in the country, and I want to do my part to help take better care of our women.
Thank you, Dr. Felicia Dawson, and you're absolutely right about the lead. I mean, Georgia has a horrible issue with it. In October 2024, we're supposed to have a plan to eradicate lead. Is that going to happen? I don't know. I mean, we just. But I have a water bill this section, HR 10, and one of the main reasons for because of the toxins in the lead, that I did that water bill is for disadvantaged communities, and they're the opposing party, Democrats. So the opposing party, you wanted to take that word disadvantage out of the legislation, and I was going to be amenable to that, and then you did that path. I don't think it's work. And they actually did get it to a point where we could move it forward. But once I finished the hearing, they basically said,
And it wasn't really an indictment on the VA, it was an indictment on the environmental issues in our communities and was killing us, but that's a whole nother story. And so the whole, respect of what you said, man, just zoom in on that. Thank you, Dr. Dawson. Let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Dawson. He's a board certified obstetricianist, genealogist, with expertise in functional and integrative medicine. She has helped to train medical students and residents as clinical assistant professor in the department of gynecology at Morehouse School of Medicine. Okay, Morehouse School of Medicine and Emory University School of Medicine. After 4 years in the private practice, Dr. Dawson founded Women for Women, where she served as medical director from 1994 to 2016. And upon learning of the healing power of cannabis, Dr. Dawson closed her practice in 2016 to work full-time on legalizing this powerful plant called cannabis through public speaking and writing. She worked to educate citizens, business, legislators, and personnel positions about cannabis and medicine, and she offers online educational consultations for holistic gynecology, medical, cannabis, and CBD. Her community service includes supporting the Center for Food Safety, partnership against domestic food bank, and Cool Girls Incorporated. Okay, which is under Miracle, right? Sure. Yeah. Cool Girls came under Miracle. And the Sierra Club. Okay. So treat from you.
More breaking?
Yeah, we do. We're gonna break just 1 second. I'm gonna say the best lesson is Mollie Bevers. She has raised her person as a many times in the cultural committee when we're here for bills, and as well as having great regulated industries, having great natural resources environment. I'm not sure how. Okay, well, she is around. And she has this song called Cannabis Hemp. And she actually sings it at our session. And I just want you to hear this song today and have Ms. Diva just speak a little bit about her mission, what she's doing, and with her YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thank you for having me and for bringing all of these amazing people together. I don't think I've seen any rep that has had as much passion as you yet. Hopefully we can change that. How are you all feeling?
I did not. Yes.
We all take a deep breath with me. Oh, there's so much to unpack here. So, I've been under a spell, or at least 100 years. When they started to lie to us, but even worse, withhold information. It didn't just start 100 years ago, did it? I think there's ancient technology thousands of years ago that we are perhaps been uncovered this year. There's so many exciting things going on, and only we can create it together. So, let me tell you about this song that I wrote here. I didn't expect to write it. That's kind of what happens with songs. And some people look like, well, they just come out, you know? So I was actually booked on a farm. I was going through a hard situation. Living out in the truck. And I was loafing, which means you can live on the land. You can pick vegetables. I was taking blueberries, eating a lot of them. So the farmer asked me if I wanted to share a drink with him. About the time I was celibate and not into any of that. I was on spiritual path. And I said, no, thank you. He said, it's not because it's illegal, is it? And that question, I was thinking, no. You know, wow, what a question. Like, is it even illegal? And everyone I know this, I'm a musician, come on. He said, you know, it was once required for farms to grow And at that point, I realized I didn't know that cannabis was more than just something. So I went home and I Googled it and I found out that George Washington Carver and Henry Ford, actually I didn't even know about George Washington Carver because that was buried. I knew that Henry Ford created a product of cannabis and built cannabis. So the song fell out. Don't you want cannabis? Do you want a car that will cannabis? Don't you want a car that will cannabis? Don't you want a car that you got a nice life? You got a nice life. You're working hard for money. You got a way to survive. The gas price never ceases to rise. Don't you want a car that runs on cannabis? Don't you want a car? Don't you want a car that's made of cannabis? Don't you want a car that's made Can you work hard on cannabis? I'll never be enough. Smile every time. Take my use cannabis to make it great. Use cannabis for clothing. It's got lean fibers and all the waters. But I heard you want cannabis. We have a river. We want those waters. Lean. Chilies around, feeling our roots. All the farmers that I've had, there's not enough of them, all the farmers that I've had might be digging up food instead of chewing the wood. All we now that production is made up. Don't you want? Don't you want a car? Don't you want a bag of candy? Don't you want a car that will go down the freezing and Washington, So yeah, you were saying from the YouTube, I just started with the awareness, and I don't want to leave these things out and everything, but maybe you need a clear channel to get some attention where it needs to be. So thank you all so much for listening and singing and clapping. Can't wait for 2024. We have our singing Miss Mollie Bevers. Could you stand up and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Wait.
Oh, no, you're first.
Yeah. I'm going to do this. Wow, your song is so beautiful. And it actually echoed most of what I wanted to talk about in regards to hemp and cannabis and marijuana and all the legislation that's behind it. Because for me, I'm really less concerned about folks that, just want it legal to get high. I love the rhetoric around, having it for medicine. I'm also, though, am way more interested in all of the other applications of cannabis, which there are, I believe, over 400 different ways that we can use hemp. Okay, so before our singer came, we're talking about lead, right? Well, guess what? Growing hemp can actually reverse lead in the soil and help to clean up our soil. It can also help to clean up our water. We can also use sunflowers for all that matter. There are several things that we can use it when we're talking about medical marijuana and cannabis. I like to always mention that, we really have to talk about the fact that it's not a drug at all, it's a herb, it's a plant. We have our syntax and all our semantics in order when we're talking about what it is thing, first of all. So it's not a drug, and having that erased out of the books would be nice, right? If they could just erase that part. Let's not talk about declassification. Let's talk about it just not being put in that book. Right? It just shouldn't be in that book. And when we're talking about the medical industry, we're also having to talk about the fact that there are several herbs that we could be using for pain relief. Several herbs that we could be using to treat and prescribe to our people. And I'm really just talking from personal experience and application of both the hemp marijuana plant and various other herbs. Coming out of high school for me, I was dealing with nerve pain and I was dealing with wound trouble, actually ovarian cysts for that. So they prescribed me with steroids and painkillers for nerve pain, and they gave me birth control for period pain. And lo and behold, we had this one plant, marijuana, to fix it all, And then for me in my personal journey, I started to find out about more and more herbs called nervine herbs that are just great for the nervous system in general, great for pain and the musculoskeletal system in general. And I started to create these mixtures for myself that overnight do more than any painkiller or steroid could do. And I'm talking about, I'll name them really: lavender, chamomile, valerian root, mint, all in conjunction with my own hemp application. For me, it helped to reverse any and all pinched nerve issues that I ever had dealing with my back. And if you've ever had a pinched nerve in your back, you would know that it's excruciating. I'm also a mom. I'm like right now, almost 4 months postpartum with my third baby. And so, wow, who would have known that we had this one plant that could help with all the things that I'm dealing with during my 10 months of all the things. So everything that she's talking about in research, I can talk about in application, and I'm not really going to spend even too much time on that, right? But more on my personal background and relationship with the plant. I want to know, I went to university. I studied film and music. I got a bachelor's degree for that. And my idea was to go to law school afterward. But for me, I was arrested maybe 3 days before my graduation and went on this whole journey. You know, if you have an open case, you can't get financial aid. So how this translates for me is that I spent 2 years fighting my case. I won. First of all, it was against the city of Atlanta, the police department, and doing this year. But in that 2 years, there must have been something in the water in 2016, because this is when that happened for me, and really around the time that I'm really still in the midst of it. And I say, well, I'm gonna study more on holistic health and herbs. And I got an integrated health certification, went into that. And then 2020 hit, and we're like, where's all the food? So my family has a Harris property here, maybe 15 minutes north of this very spot. And we started farming. So where is that with me today? I found myself, a little bit after, I was doing production management, managing film festivals, concerts, right? 30,000 people or more, training staff, 700 to 200 people. And at some point in that, I got disenchanted, and I started to say, this is again around 2020, maybe if I could train people to do an event, then I should be able to train people to grow food. So my first application of that was in 2021, working for a hemp farm, or a hemp company in growing hemp. We planted about 30 acres throughout South and Central Georgia. And we learned that Georgia is definitely a great place to grow hemp. Let's just say that. Georgia, 3 harvests in a year. Wow. If you grow in the state of Georgia, most places you can really only get 2. Only thing to keep in mind that if you are here in Georgia, you have to go to humidity and the mold, and so that's the whole thing. You want to make sure your space is air. But if you want to talk more about how to get into the farming side of it, we can talk about that. Or we talk about it now. Questions. But if you have even an acre, it is only $50 to get a license to grow hemp in the state of Georgia. So keep that in mind. People talk about the cost of entry. It's like huge. That's if you're a processor. That's if you want to distribute, or if you want to go into the medical side. But if you just want to grow hemp, and this is to satisfy food, clothing, or shelter, you can do that for as little as $6. Even if you have hundreds of acres, you can designate 1 acre, and this is your designated $50 permanent space to grow hemp for these. Okay. And from that point, and you don't just have to grow hemp. Let's talk about it. Because it's also a plant that will fertilize your soil, that will keep out other weeds. If you plant it densely and do what they call polycropping, intercropping, you can plant it with other plants and have an abundant harvest of everything that you're looking to grow. And again, eliminating all the other weeds that might potentially come up. The weed is going to the hemp is going to outcompete all of that, and it's still going to leave space for your other plants, and it's also going to provide nutrients to those plants that you're growing. So, it's like a win-win, right? Where do we lose? We definitely lose when we talk about, okay, I'm a transport guy, and I'm just transporting anything that I get caught by the police. The police doesn't know if it's real hemp or if it's real marijuana, and I get put in jail either way while they figure it out, right? Have a lot of that going on. At the same time, it's hard to legalize a plant that has been criminalized for so long and there are people that are in jail right now today for planting that you're talking about legalizing right now. So the real holdup is that we can't do anything until we deal with the people that have been wrongfully indicted, given these super long crazy long sentences over 10 years, 10, 20 years over 3 5, you know. Meanwhile, there are people who are like baby catchers who are out here on the street, you know, and they just have to find something saying that they won't go over there. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in there. But we do.
See, now you're on more topics than cannabis.
No, but it's all interconnected, interrelated. And the reason that we can't just hurry up and legalize it is because of all of the other little things that still have to be tied up, all of the strings.
If I might, not only the, what a wonderful introduction, and I know for a while, so I know a lot of years. So one of the things, though, as a group, and we really do have to understand coming together on a common message is really critical. Because you're absolutely right. And the medical professionals here have a really core interest in a medical solution. And a lot of us here want to make that successful. But if we focus on that, what we do is we disperse our power, our voting power, versus our really important because in truth, we all have a very common goal. We want hospice care, we want elderly care, we want comfortable in lifestyle issues, right? Which is kind of associated with the plan originally.
Personally, I was looking at us being able to fill our base level hierarchy needs at a lower cost. Food, clothing, shelter, right? All these costs are rising. And the reason why is because we're so heavily reliant on non-reusable forms of energy or things that are really taking a long time to reduce. For instance, our trees. I've been in Atlanta a long time, and they call this city the city in the forest. But the forest is being taken away by development, and I'm seeing that. And you don't really know how hard or how harsh that is until you go to a place like New York, where there are no trees, and the air is like you're choking to even walk through the city. Okay, so that's what it could potentially turn into, right? And why are they tearing down all these trees? I don't know. They want to build stuff. Well, guess what? You can build stuff for him, and him can grow in 90 days, right? Every 90 days, we get more and more hemp. One single tree. How long does it take for that one tree? 25 years? Come on. So for me, it's about, let's just make it make sense.
See,
Let's talk about sustainability.
That's the real issue. What we've given up by fighting people about the use of cannabis as a drug, what we've given up is all the ecological benefits, along with all of the health benefits. So beyond us having fibers come to build buildings and hemp created fuel for our cars, right? That's all from the other stuff that you don't really get cannabinoids from. But we should have that. Every farmer should have that with a way to take all their excess crops and be processed either through decorticators to be made into fiber or into distillers to be made into fuel or other things. So we really, by kind of closing our eyes and letting the law enforcement kind of dictate how we're going to be treated, we really got away from huge benefits that this plan offers. It's been a whole lot more than just recreational. But when we do recreational, all the other things end up being encompassed within it, right? Because if you can go to a state tested or a facility that happens to be a drugstore or maybe even a state-run facility or some type of dispensary, if you will, that has tested product that we know the quality of the products, there's not metals and other stuff in there, and you can readily avail that to yourself, you're gonna be able to help with the hospice care because you'll be able to prescribe what you want. Or like we talked about, RSO, that Rick Simpson oil, for people who want to be able to take that product without the idea of getting high, but
No, it's like, yeah, absolutely. All of that, the only problem is that recreation is only for people that are 21 and up. And if you look at the plant as a whole, and again, it's talking about holistic, integrated practices, if you look at the plant as a whole and all of its benefits, you're gonna actually win more people when you leave out the fact that you can use it for recreation. You're gonna win more people to talk about, you can go and build your home. You can go build a community. You can feed that community. You can do all kinds of things.
that's right. But it's all inclusive. And that's exactly what we should be shooting for. Not picking just one aspect of this plan or another. There's 20 different products on this table that all do different stuff and they all came from the same plant, right? But none of them get you out. Are we taking questions here?
Yeah, just, thank you guys, and thank you. One thing that we were saying, thank you, also a candidate along with David for, agricultural. Just properly introduce you right. Mollie Bevers is an agriculturalist who believes in replacing food deserts with food forests and food swamps with fresh food markets. She's a former candidate again for the agriculture commissioner. Her working experiences include working with farm planning, then production management, and customer service. Mollie works together to create healing experiences for communities as she engages with them. And Mollie is a certified integrated nutrition health coach. She provides everyday solutions for everyday health using herbs and yoga. Thank you for being here.
I will, hey guys, if you would like more information specifically regarding our cooperative development practices and our efforts to bring communities together to grow more, not just hemp, but also fruit and vegetable products, you can reach out to me. If anyone wants to take my number, give me a text, something cool, and my number is 678. Oh, my number is 678-886-9262. One more time, my number is 678-886-9262. Please just send me a text, your name, and say I'm interested in farming or something similar to that, and please touch.
Questions and answers now, so whatever's been on your hearts and minds at this time, we got our first row up.
I think the other points you're making, I mean, education is always needed when it comes to cannabis, so on and so forth. But I think, citizens of Georgia, I think it'll pass the point. Unfortunately, we're not that much state. We can put on ballot and that's small. I think everything that she's mentioned with regards to education, benefits, use with medicinal, recreational, adult use, I'm classified. Some of those things, like what we need to do, where, with the legislative body, the issue, some of this kind of, geared more towards youth. I'm sure, I mean, I'm saying Dr. Chuck, and things, I'm saying, pretty advocates, but it's like Georgia had an opportunity to make part of this mission. They said, wait a minute, hold my finger. Let me make the worst medical law possible. Okay, because they in the South. We can look at other southern states where we call our brothers and sisters, which are Mississippi, Alabama. And I know it's unfortunate it's older. A lot of people see like you get into acts smart other things. You start to understand how legislation actually moves through the body. And so it's one of those things that I've seen Senator Harold Jones trying to pass legalization for like the past 5 or 6 years, but it doesn't even make it out of this committee because the sheriff's association said so Sheriff's Association has a legislative body that advocates against even the basic cannabis. In fact, they have a legislative body. I mean, they have in fact, state representatives, state senators are all sued. Things like it's backwards, so I really don't understand that. It's like my question is more so, what is our path forward for that, medical exchange is due to the fact that they're built out. I mean, the public bills are just gone. For the past year, they've been Democratic bills. When you look at it, it's like, does it make sense? What citizen, what it be from you standpoint or from the standpoint of somebody that wants to actually get in the industry and have a fair shot, share participant. I mean, you mentioned earlier, making the violence the way that you protect when someone but even with the law that complains, you really couldn't even do the R&D here in the state of Georgia to be able to do that based on struggling. And so I just wonder, I know this bill that one of the new state reps is put forward and pre-filed or whatever. And I know that's going to stand a chance because it's a Democratic bill. So what is it going to take for the Democrats and Republicans to actually come together and make something that's reasonable? I mean, like right now, just with the way that not just with the current bill that we have in place, we have 6 licenses out here, 2 large licenses, 1,000 square feet, 4 50,000 square feet, and it's low THC one. Well, if you don't do the business aspect of that, you already know these companies can. There's no way that they're going to couldn't get the numbers from. You got 2,000 person base. I mean, that's not even enough. That's not even the land. That's the entire state. So these people are responsible for running the cultivation and manufacturing facility along with up to 5 dispensaries, over 20,000 people. I mean, that's not going to work. So common sense is going to kick in to let us know that, and I don't know what companies say, we have some students, which is but we know that they're going to be throwing money around because they're losing money. So they're not in the business of losing money. So the laws have to be changing in the next 2 to 4 years for them to be able to make money. So how is it that we can move forward to get smarter legislation for access in addition to citizens to be able to participate?
I'd like to address it first, if you don't mind, okay?
Okay.
As someone who understands the process and has a lot of respect for the representatives and what's involved, but also a complete understanding of the way bills are done and processed through. They're typically not done by one representative writing a bill and saying, look, I want this to happen. Because they said it'll never get the support. Even when multiple representatives come together, whether even in a bipartisan manner, the bill still has no guarantee that it'll even get to the floor to be voted on. So the answer to your question is really, I think, they have to do with the outfit that I'm going after now, the Legal Cannabis Association, where we get citizenry to get behind what makes sensible cannabis legislation. Because just cannabis legislation doesn't mean that's what we want. The proof is what happened or what's happening currently with the medical board. They approved it years ago and didn't get the first patient product until just about a year ago. And like I said, the system isn't set up. There's no way for it to support itself. So why did that happen? That's because those group of people, those certain select politicians that are involved in those other issues, and not everybody, by the way, was supported bills, but the ones that were successful are involved actually with those companies. Do you know in the state of Georgia, there's actually a thing that says that any representative could have 5% of a cannabis company and not disclose it to their constituents?
Yeah.
5% of a cannabis company and not disclose it. How did you exclude or create a cannabis all cannabis companies and say that this is different than the oil business? You can't do that in the oil business. You can't do it in any other industry, but you can do it in this industry. So the reason that there's backroom stuff going on, it will all be affected. So the most efficient way I would get it done is to come up to representatives like Representative Thompson and say, look, here's a clean cannabis bill. This is sensible cannabis legislation that hundreds of thousands of Georgians support.
So in this last session, the state representatives net, it was a bill that was getting tracks. The bill out there, but the bill that the commission was accepting the point. What you set up for it, it's one of those things, like, it's part of legislation out there. It's just in Georgia, it's choosing not to embrace it.
Well, exactly what I was saying. We, the people, get behind a sensible legislation bill, and then I'll be the fellow who goes to every office up there and says, look, this is sensible cannabis legislation, governor, representative, congressperson, do you support it or not? Right? Because then I can come back to you as a voter and say, look, Representative Thompson, absolutely support it. Because there's no other background, it's just sensible cannabis legislation. Of course you support that, right? But there are people who will say they won't.
I disagree. I think that we have too few people on the gold zone who are there for just to make money. They're not about the people. They're not just, they're not the people you get with a clean bill. They're not gonna listen to the bill. They're only about making money. But when Stacey Abrams was my representative, I met her at law and I said, getting up cannabis in the States. I said, it was about making money. He says, because the gold bone has been taken over by religious rights and law enforcement. That's why. But in my opinion, that's probably been so slow in getting it going once they even pass the law, because there's no transparency. A lot of backroom deals, they get sued at the right because they're not being transparent. In my opinion, I was 47 trying to get better legislation. People continue to get their own interest in black and white, brown.
This is a good topic.
But this is one of the reasons why I don't call myself. But I don't call myself a public servant. If I want to be a public servant, I can be out in the community doing that in church or whatever. This is politics. I'm clearly a politician. I clearly know my role and know what this is. And the reason why we can't get it passed is just simply because we're not in control. However, there's ways to get around. I'm only getting in. Okay, I got money out of the state budget the first year, 2 months after I was in session. And there were people that were sitting there that have been here 10, 15 years and never got any money out of the budget to go to their district and couldn't tell me how to. So somebody said that right? This go around in January, last January, we had an influx of people who were very aggressive. I can't remember, you said they're out of the net, Shagan. I don't think he had any legislation. Yeah. But I don't see who that was. We have some real legislators when it goes back to power. So you have to be very strategic. I'm considering myself a urban ag. Agriculture is South Georgia and Middle Georgia. And I'm trying to bridge South Georgia. So how do I do that in politics? I drive 3.5, 4.5, 6.5 hours to Middle Georgia, South Georgia, to be removed. Democrats. And I'm the only Democrat there. So we went to Southern Georgia to the 21st century to do a tour of how they process cannabis and what they can process, and education and awareness of them, learning that the life for $100,000 to grow this stuff, and that they're not available, that they're on backward. So a strategy for Democrats to get things better, to be in a conversation of a clean piece of legislation that we want to see passed, is to deal with it. So when Obama appointed Arthur Tripp as a USDA FSA director, regional director of Georgia, he got back to the UGA. It was 20 minutes left in his concession. I drove an hour and a half from South Fulton to Athens for 20 minutes just to show up. And now if they see me, they say, but then they include me on it. They ask me questions. But then again, I'm still new, so you can't really just put something out there for me to have in my hands. I have legislation that was passed that I can even find. It's mine. It's not mine. So you said someone brand new just off the street came in from Gwinnett and has a good piece of legislation. Is that the most smart thing to do is say, I'm on my bill? It's strategy. It's policy. So somebody said, well, you have lobbies. You have big lobbies. We're the biggest lobbies. We're the not. You know, you may have constituents that tell me, I don't see you. You don't see me because I'm not a good way. I'm not a good meeting, I'm not a good meeting. I'm not to her any legislation connecting with the people that are. So I just want you to know things have been passed that you may not do. And that we have to, as Democrats, be able to work with the opposing party without saying they're not Democrats. Because this is a neutral area. And it's enough money for everybody. But did you want to follow up on that?
Well, I mean, I think my thing is, you know, legislation, you know, for state, it's an area that states not familiar with. They step outside the boundaries and they look to the civil states to add and laws they've already made. It is the fact that there are existing laws, medical laws, 30 states, and then 22 or 23 or 24 adult use cannabis laws are in place. They're already set based on where we should start as a state, especially with it being somewhat of a progressive southern state. And so for us to have the worst cannabis laws, I mean, our medical cannabis program is so bad, some of them declassified medical cannabis. And so, you know, a lot of people get that they have Atlanta and they have Georgia. But the fact that it's so bad, and Georgia has an opportunity to be so great in the field of cannabis, all the medical programs, agriculturalists that we have here, if we're studying our own growth, and you know, it's so many problems associated with that. You know, a lot of people, you know, they don't understand the difference between federal legalization means, decriminalization, so on and so forth. And so even with federal legalization, once that takes place, that just means that it's legal at the federal level. That does not mean that it's, you know, from the state standpoint, it's still going to be up to the state to determine what that looks like. And then, you know, even with, you know, these schedules, not to talk about interstate commerce. Guess what? Interstate commerce is not going to happen. More than likely, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Because that would just destroy every local cannabis economy just because it is existing industries that California and West Coast, they're looking to flood the market. And so if you're looking to be a cultivator in Georgia, and Georgia hasn't allowed you to license yet, you might as well go out and start. The cost of cultivating in some of these other states is so much cheaper. And so it's just the fact that Georgia's just being so short-sighted with regards to their approach, is doing a disservice to the citizens. And it's like, this could all be easily rectified if people just had an open-minded approach. And even with the backwards bills going on, and you just eliminated some of the stuff like the lobbying on the sheriff's association. I mean, it's just bewildering the fact that I think it was right for the bill for, medical cannabis act, in the Senate committee, I can't even remember the senator's name. He said, I'm gonna go for it in this committee. I have to go back and talk to my sheriffs, but if it makes it to the floor, then I'm going. It's just, he's not there to represent the people. So, I mean, it's, Georgia, I mean, it's just inexcusable for the law to be just this bad. I mean, for example, like New York, they just legalized, adult cannabis, into a late action. Now, it's back, but one of the issues that people often run into with the medicinal adult use is the lack of places to be able to consume cannabis. And so for medical patients, you know, due to the federal housing, federal property, apartment complex, there be restrictions. So New York said, hey, well, we're going to smoke cigarette, we can smoke cannabis. It's not happening. You know, Georgia's not going to go for something like that. It's just New York's way of saying, like, hey, well, we learned about the problems that are going on in other states. Let's try to do something better. Whereas Georgia's not even trying to learn from other states. We don't need to learn from the West Coast. Let's just learn from Arkansas and Mississippi, where they have even better, you know, cannabis, better, you know, their cannabis programs aren't very season. But we should not be coming in behind Mississippi and Arkansas.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Wants to say.
I'll just add that if you're really interested in the legislation, then get behind new upcoming candidates. And when you meet them, if you can and are able to donate money or time to their campaign and help them to get elected. From my experience, I don't always be mine because I'm still young, flowing through the ag community, right? But I ran as, I believe, the youngest agricultural commissioner in the state of Georgia. I am an assistant to run again for 2026. And I'm realizing that this is just a long game. These are things that you have to prep for over time, right? And as you're meeting people in the community, sometimes you might have to meet someone and say, hey, you should go and run for this. You should go and try this. Or, you know, it might be someone in your church that you might want to get behind. Someone, who knows? I don't know how you might know. But if you meet them and you're interested in them and you want to really support them, do it however you can. And that is the conversation, because over, like, you know, this next set of people and it's questionable. We know that the powers are what they are. We also know that a lot of those powers are baby boomers. I say that with love and respect. And that their time, you know, their time is their time, and that our time is our time, and our time is coming. So are we preparing for that? And what are we willing to do to get our people in place before they get their people in place?
Mr. Lawson, just say, and I want to concur with what you're saying. I mean, Georgia is not, it's no secret about that time anyways. But one of the reasons why Georgia is not in cannabis is because of our previous commission. And we said cannabis over than that. And so we're just getting a new commissioner in who is from this. So we are making moves, and you will take a move for this. Okay, we got Lawson, we got two questions. Let Lawson
what's optimal to do, right? Because the reality is a lot of what you want to see is going to take time. So like this example, just have right? I remember vividly 2001 going to Fulton County Jail program weed, and things ran down with pesticide and having to change clothes and being in the hotel with this guy. I'm like, what are you here for? He's like, I'm here for murder. I killed him. You know, I'm like, I'm here for grabbing weed. And so I remember that experience 22 years. That experience repeat again. Stop that roadblock. There you go. Car told me to compound that with dealing with your time. I've seen what's happened historically change in a relatively short period of time. If you look at all things considered in the history of cannabis, right? So We got new legalization happening in 17 for 2023. We do have a medical program. So I hear your frustration. I think it would be great for the movement in the industry to support that industry, pour that energy into doing the work and taking action. Get our this historical paradigm shift that we see in the South. It's been treated as a criminal century and shifted. So sooner or later, we see new mayors, new representatives, new senators, new Congress who support our mission. And that's what we should be doing.
And keeping the good ones who already know and are supporting.
Hey, everybody, my name is Karen Simmons. I have a nonprofit Agripreneurs. And yes, I've been in the fields with Mollie and we do probably going back 2020. And anyway, she said something very important. I believe in politics. I'm always on the ground, like I work with farmers. That's what I do. But people drive the policy. So if you can pay $50 to grow cannabis, then we should probably start pushing it, like teaching people about cannabinoids. You know, I heard the CBD coaches and things that coming out of this, you know, the smoke or what have you. But as you train people about cannabinoids, and they can like grow it in their backyard, and you can smoke it. Like all that stuff is legal. Like right now, you can smoke CBD. You know, they got them in the stores, vape, all of that. You know, teach people to do it right there in their homes. You know, the more people doing it, they're going to have to regulate it. They're going to have to take notice. But you know, I do believe it's going to replace opioids. It's going to replace anxiety meds. Period. You know, the money can't stop that push. You can grow it anywhere. The sand does. You know, and as we move forward, you know, we can start doing this. You know, definitely support legislation as they support us. You know, you don't go in thinking that this one person is going to change things because they have stuff on their desk already. You know, she got there stuff on her desk she had to tend to vote on right there. She's been there 3 years and now, you know, she's building up momentum and stuff. We have to support these people. Her, Miss Willis, you know, they're on the ad committee. You know, go to these committee meetings. That's what they keep saying. Go to the committee meeting. This lady's thinking about cannabis. That's something gonna stay in their heads. You know, cannabis talk. It's in my head right now. Cannabis talk. So, you know, but the same thing, you know, we are the lobby people. Advocates. It's the same word. Advocate, lobby means you get paid. Advocate means, you know, you're going forward. But that's kind of what I wanted to hear about. You know, how can we help more people, empower them, you know, so they can't get away from these opioids? You know, how can I turn my plant into where it's not just liquid, it's in isolate form, or, you know, I can take it and put it in a pill, you know, that sort of thing, right in my house without having to go to a dispensary, because it's not one yet. You know, they are out there. Again, the doctors, I can't get a prescription because of what they feel. So, you know, how can I empower, you know, myself with the $50, you know, fee to get in, and, you know, leveraging you guys' knowledge with urban, you know, growing. Okay.
And we'll touch on that. And I will say the Department of Ag is asking us right now to make some amount of dollars because they're really, but they need the money to do it. And then you have the big fight between the going to be under the Department of Agriculture because that's too much power. You had a question?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jackson. So I have an acre and a half farm. It's about less than 10 minutes away from here. Just found out about $50 an acre. My question was, Should I be that example to be in our education department? Because it's like so tough to call. I tried to call one time downtown South, and it was just awful. They didn't want to talk to me about it. They pushed me over to call FSA and everything else. So it was like, yeah, they didn't want to talk about it. So I was like, this is the first time we meet someone. I'm trying to get further in entrepreneurship. No, I'm not trying to be the farmer like that. I would love to grow a few of CBD and educate, just like I do with educating regular farmers. I want to educate. Like what she said, I didn't convince this one. I plan to try to talk about that program that you got going on in the summer. Like, I'm really, I just want to know what our opportunities or how do I afford the $50 a year. I really know people. And also, guys, if you guys have anybody or anything, post anything, please. Get my information afterwards, because I'm trying to just get out there. I'm so blessed to find out about this event because my former friend is tapping like, don't know about learning about that. I'm just thankful that you have like this.
Yeah, it's some of the paper, you educate them. But it's something that we do need to work with our municipalities too.
Like I said, I'm farmers know, but I'm farming this up because I'm a farm member. It's like, I would have known something like that, signed up, or it's a lot.
So it's awesome that there's some passion, and I think it's $50, but there also is a required amount of fee, which we were finding faculty to help all this year, so it's ridiculously expensive. Some of the farmer house and farms, they didn't realize $1,500 to prove that it doesn't have a bumps in the THC.
And on the topic, right on, like, it's a secondary lab here in town, up in North Georgia. And they do real cannabis testing at a very fair rate. So we have malt and it's all the cannabinoids as well. They'll test edibles, flower, concentrate. So you do have a place to go. That's Bright Box Labs involved. Those guys. Very important.
And you can look on the Department of Ag website to find official people who also do the actual testing. Just so you know.
Let's go to a council review, and then we got you.
Yeah. Thank you for today. Session. And I learned so much. The spot should be you want to come to my church. Then I heard that the baby boomers passed away, those good times. But we all stuff that we did, that we got negative views because cannabis, refill, marijuana, we all participatory things that we did. I participated in, and from the negative view, that's how I running from the law, sneaking around doing stuff. And so to hear all of the benefits that cannabis has, and hear the outreach we did. And so, in terms of education, in terms of support, you need to educate those of you who really need to educate the faith-based community. It's a large group because probably that's where most of them will push back. Probably will be coming because they don't understand. I didn't understand all of this until today. And so I'm thankful that I'm here. I'm thankful
this title, A Letter to the Church About Cannabis, What Would Jesus Do? It touches on the economics, the criminal justice issue, the medicine part, I've spoken in at least 2 churches about this, but it's out with the average church person, or at least a person who want to know about cannabis, and why they should be involved.
And being
It's probably.
so I'm clear that on these issues and so forth, clear about getting involved in the business venture because the largest group that where people are is small. And so we have an obligation. Have an obligation to know more about what's going on here.
Thank you. Mr. Lawson,
I don't want to get anybody in trouble with the question side. Is there any talk in the state of in capital about laboratory testing for consumers, right? It's very important. Consumer on the street should be able to walk to a laboratory and get their own products. It shouldn't just be manufacturers, dispensers, businesses that is putting farmers first in their product. I should be, like in this Dr. Hodge, I know Dr. Hodge's products. Just for example, any consumer should be able to walk in to a laboratory and have their product tested for contaminants, et cetera, et cetera. And we notice when we go to countries overseas in South America, where they have the options, we see the overdose rate plummet. We see all types of negative options.
Just 2 weeks ago, we came together and a lot of products.
So you go out there and you want to know this, and it's amazing to see how many products are mislabeled. It's crazy to see. Well,
Okay, we got right here. Here. Yeah. You. Yeah, we remove.
Well, thank you so much for everybody. Most amazing to see my work, especially condition. I have a question as a farmer for cannabis license as well, for the owners as well. I'm very curious as to what the purpose of this is. Are you needing something from us? Are we giving something to you all? Because right now, I see we're talking about blocking, and we have a little bit of a angst about what's going to happen in the state. I know federally, there seems to be some type of understanding, and then locally, there's obviously certain constraints. I know at least one we had success with the law enforcement. So as far as how was the envelope, as far as the federal government having that, in certain things for a certain municipality where they might be criminal, is it on us to kind of keep going? Because my understanding is that obvious loophole destroys any reason not to utilize cannabis with the adult environment. So as long as you go in, a lot of people don't know that it is the same thing that people they go collect cannabis. So I'm just wondering, with that loophole already flooding all markets in the East Coast, how can we kind of check that?
So the purpose, one of the, yeah, good question. One of the objectives is to motivate and educate. So some people in the audience have no clue, some people do, but it's to motivate and educate you to get up to that goal. Because the legislation is coming forth. We already had, and now it's going to be coming forth for consumers. And we want to make sure we have not a seat at the table. I mean, that is all I'm saying. It's not about having a seat at the table, it's about being at the table walking away. So, like I said earlier, you are our biggest lobbying group.
So
I'm the only one.
We're supposed to talk.
You can talk to me directly, your direct state representative and senators, but then
does it matter where we live? Because I know the police department, is that different than our?
It's a new district, and I have something. So you may be in my district. Be comfortable when you have.
Everyone should know who their house representative is, and everyone should know who their state senator is, and where they stand on campus. We have a relationship with them, we should need to have a conversation.
You can check. And then if you sign up today, I'm gonna be sending you emails on different bills that they are in city. And you just come speak to these bills.
Okay, a lot of people representatives, money, is that thing?
Yeah, as long as it's not during check before January.
Okay, right.
He was.
So, that makes it small, government, nice to meet you all. I mean, CMOS Mondays, and I'm a firm believer in the usage of not only CMOS, but in cannabis as well. I just wanted to not only thank you all, but to applaud you all, everyone in this crowd on the panel, just because you all are the pioneers, you all are the Cato, Rosa Parks, the Abraham Lincoln that we need here in not only Georgia, but in America here. My overall question for you all on the panel is, how do we involve the younger community, the younger crowd? Of course, no one would swing on me, and of course it would be illegal. However, there are myself, 7 years old. However, people like myself, minorities, people overall, which just doesn't know about these things. They don't know about you all. They don't know about representatives. And to be honest, I'm speaking from the younger crowd. We somewhat don't care. To be honest, we have to have people that are elders that are going to these active in this community. And we need people to kind of show us, like my friend here this morning, he was the one that kind of worked into this event for us. I would have no idea. To be honest, you all need the young. You all need people that really want to participate, because we have not only matter, but we are totally because we have to work all the bills, all of the everyday problems, which you all actually do with this. But to a different degree, because we're trying to figure it out. But some of us in this room will figure it out more like that. Foundation, I just wanted to know how you all, as representatives of people in the Constitution, or what have you, I'm not even sure of terminology, but how do we get you all to get us involved so where we can be there to lift you all up, and you all can bring us in as well?
Yeah, I know you identify your local, right? And then if there are pillars along with your pillars, as support them, educate them, let them know what you want. You know, I know everyone's supporting for Georgia being behind, slow. We developed our medical cannabis Haley Sosa. We modeled Minnesota. Minnesota with old THC oil, they took companies and they somewhere they're not. So it just takes time. It's a long game. Like she said, the journey is changing, but big changes happen with gubernatorial elections. You know, 2026, it behooves everyone in this room to target potential candidates. You know, start talking to them. They'll be a lifelong audience because they need people, not just money to begin. They need people. And current governor, he did sign for in-state prohibition. Before him, Governor Deal, he waited to his last term to sign Haley's Hole. But you can start building it. So Political assassination is real. People just can't get a position and start saying, cannabis on gambling on. No. If there's one problem, one death, one accident, that person's career is over. That person got to take care of their family, their legacy. You got to understand it. So, again, Governor King is in his second term, 2 more years. Now it's time to find the next governor. Now it's right. Get behind him or her, tell them everything you want with cannabis, and it's gonna go. They're starting with peach gummies. We're only on oil only. You don't think Kentucky's ready to go. So our bordering states are having robust programs for great development. It's only because, in my humble opinion, when I've been watching the last 14 years in this case, it coincides with terms.
Marcus, to answer your question about how to engage young people, one thing I'm asking about is, first of all, cannabis is not for everyone, right? Let's just say that. But it's an option. Right? So not every young person is going to be interested in being engaged in the politics, the community, and the business side. However, those young people who are, and everyone who knows why you are, will be. The reality is, in my opinion, young people need to be able to understand how this plant can touch their lives and improve their lives in ways outside of owning a dispensary, outside of having a license, where there are tremendous barriers to entry, right? Because the reality is, we touched on this earlier, there's a whole ecosystem that has to function in order for the cannabis industry to work. And I'm a firm believer, as an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur, I've worked for people, so I've been on both sides. The other reality is, everybody is not built for entrepreneurship. Right? Some people are better purpose at being a part of the machine that operates to get the outcome. And so what I'm passionate about is getting our young people to understand what skill set do you need, what skill set do you want, what are you passionate about, and how can you apply that to this industry when there's a whole 360 degrees of opportunities and ways to enter into that. And so that has to happen, to your point. And to my answer to your question earlier, is it's going to take time to see these changes, but it's going to require the next generation to step up. So, we're going to let the officials apply this, and we're going to show up. We got to show up to stuff like this.
And one thing.
And then after you, I'm so sorry, we're going to take our last question. And then we're going to wrap up with 1 minute.
The reason why you hear about cannabis is skip. B103, all the radio stations cannot tell you about cannabis, what's going on in the state. You can't go to a magazine. So, of course, cannabis if you just reading, article, news, you don't hear anything. Because legally we can't advertise. We can't even tell you what doctors are making medical cannabis recommendations.
Which is insane because they in Colorado, it would be an IRA. Not just crazy that Florida.
See, that's the word marijuana, right? Facebook, Instagram. Again, the Schedule 1 drug. AI picks it up and is going to shadow ban. So you're not going to see it, bro. You just got to, right there. Me, we're connected. Start, get our numbers, spread you around. You know, that's how we all help. It's all how our I've been on the radio, they had to sneak me in, and I was on B103 and never again. You feel me? I was talking about Oracle, and our program, trying to explain to our
citizens are great citizens of Georgia. They can get medicinal program. It's legal. You might want to get some help. They can't elevate for orders. Yeah.
All right. We got to last question. They were going to do a 1 minute. Yes, she's like.
Thank you for having me. It's really great to be here with everyone. I'm curious about the combination for making seeds, corn and protein powders. That's seeds or Georgia. I can see any local companies offering local seeds or proteins. Curious, is it consistent? Should we do one question at a time? You.
Oh.
You can, let's take that one, then do the rest of it.
So we're gonna do the 1 minute wrap up, but we can start with Mollie, speakers, and answer that question for the end of your 1 minute.
Okay. Sure, you can grow hemp in the state of Georgia for hemp seeds and for that specific niche. And from what I know, I could be totally wrong, please forgive me, if you're growing hemp specifically for food or for industrial purposes, then you're actually growing like a different plant than what's grown specifically for flower and for recreational purposes. So you would more than likely not have to deal with as many of the fees and the regulations and the testing that goes along with the female plant. So I think you'd be more so growing the male plant if you're going for textile or if you're going for food sports. And some of these maybe in the crowd help us out. 1 minute wrap up. I don't know if you that is. We're here and we're doing the work. And if you want to do the work, start where you are. Talk to the people that are around you. If you want to work with the soil, start cultivating. Work with this young lady, Jasmine, and help her develop her education site. Or go and learn from her because she's already a wealth of knowledge. Okay? This is what we do. We talk to the people that are in our communities and we just go with the flow, one person at a time. How do you eat an elephant? This is something that we're going to try to like, it's not necessarily rocket science, but maybe a little bit it is. Some of us are making it rocket science, and that's okay. So we're going to still take it one step at a time and work where we are.
Thank you. Dr. Dawson?
A specific person that can call the meetings to get legal definitions.
Yeah. We can talk. Let's talk.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Dr. Dawson?
I would like to piggyback on the young man's question about how can we get young people more involved. We need y'all at 17. That's when you can register to vote. So that when you turn 18, you are ready to go. We need to start reaching out to you on platforms that you listen to or you use like TikTok, Snapchat, and whatever else y'all using. The old folk need to be information there. Everyone needs to be encouraging your school board people to teach civics in the school so you understand how government works. The fact is not trying school is for a reason, to keep you ignorant of the system. So I just want to say, that you do need more young people to understand the political process, because I am just blown over how many young people don't know how the elections are about to happen, or who the candidates are. So we've got to do a better job of reaching where you are. And I would just like to say that you can find me at my website and lots of materials and videos at drfelicia.com. Spell out the word doctor, D-O-C-T-O-R, and my first name, Felicia, F-E-L-E-C-I. And just lots of information.
Thank you. Mr. Lawson?
Just thank you everyone for coming. We just, questions for cannabis wellness, how we use the plant to support our online experience. You can find me at Michael at cannabismediaexecutive.com. I can share my information with anybody who wants it after we close. My website website is cannabismediacollective.com. I have educational resources, videos. I'm actually about to release a new cutting edge cannabis database where you can look up any medical condition, a bunch of different filters that are really interactive and really different things out there now. But for people like yourselves who want to be able to take a dive into this, get lost in Google, get lost in YouTube. So find me at cannabismediacollective.com on all social media platforms. And find me. I'd love to engage with you in the conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Mollie. Dr. Hodge?
Instagram, to try to read all my messages. I'm just big on filling in the knowledge gaps, not just medicinal economics, how to get in the industry. We talk to criminal justice reform. Just really big on that. It's really big on helping people that look like me and you get in this industry. We're still less than 2% of this. My main objective is to open this door as big as I can. And for people again, there's no superstars in cannabis. Like when you look to there's no superstar. There's no superstar. Right there, he's being humble, but he does a lot of education. He's got a lot of great products. We're super dude out here. But again, most of us here, again, we're all doing this out of passion. We're all approachable. No one, we really don't have a head start because you can't find a big textbook on this. No cannabis came. No, so the knowledge really is a paper thin. So most industries, most sectors, you got code. You got the people with AI that's coming in this year. Cannabis is kind of level the playing field. Again, just be hopeful. Be energetic. Again, this is just beginning. The textbooks are really just thin. Very, very. There's no other sector like this. So, be enthused.
Thank you all, Representative. Thank you very much for putting this on. Thank you all for attending. You did the first step. You got here, you showed up for something to understand and move forward. And you asked how you can help get more young people involved. Just let them know there's a lot more to this plant than just getting high, right? There's a whole health benefits. But then when you get into the ecological standard, uncreated building materials and the fiber side of this, it's much larger, it's exponentially larger than the getting high, right? So when we really bring that in as a resource to the state, it's much larger. And sort of go to how we help get young people involved. Part of that is understanding that renewable resources that we can create here through this cannabis plant is going to open up a huge area that's got nothing to do with the psychoactive components of it, even though a lot of us are fans of that. So if you want to reach me on Dave at Chirco, and Chirco is an acronym for the Cannabis Hemp Education Research Company. But Dave at Chirco.com if you want products information. And early next year, as soon as the IRS releases the 501, and make sure that we create something because I didn't bring a CBD for we have a lot of
let's just take it up. Especially talking about processing. There's so many areas where we need to fill in gaps. So if you want a workaround, good call. farmers can collectively go together and go in on a permit and work together on one piece of land to cultivate the herb. You can have pretty much the permit is just really attached to the business name. And several farmers can work under that business and work together to grow the product. So it's just easy work.
Split the land.
And put the land costs, the fees, everything that's associated with it. This is called cooperative development, and this is what we're doing amongst my collective and some of the just people that we know to work with. So if you're looking for me, text me. All right, gave you my number, it's 678-886-9262. Easiest way to get to me. Yes.
Thank you, Felicia.
Thank you, guys.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out again. I'm Representative Mandisha A. Also known as the political farmer, serving District 65, but serving the state of Georgia as a whole. I am representing the state of Georgia, and like my good friend Ellen said, there is no culture without that culture. Thank